Hello and welcome to Physics at Del Tech. My name is Dr. Mark Taylor. I think we can all agree that online learning or distance or remote learning is not exactly the optimal way to take a college course. Many of you are still not comfortable with online learning format, and that's completely understandable. Before I go any further, I strongly recommend that you take notes while viewing this and any other videos for this class. But the vast majority of the information in this video can be found in one of two very important reference documents that are linked in the Week 1 lesson plan announcement. The Welcome to Online Physics reference document and the Policies and Expectations document. The Welcome document tells you where everything's located, along with contact info for a wide variety of support services offered at Del Tech. And the Policies document tells you the rules and regulations, most of which are set by the campus or by the Del Tech Science Department. And these include rules pertaining to taking exams and completing all the other assignments. Please print these out in case you forget or miss something during this orientation video and other videos. While you can read just parts of the welcome document as you need them, it's strongly recommended that you read the entire Policies and Expectations document to understand the Del Tech policies for this class. As you know, this is an introductory course, and like any introductory course, much of the material is going to be new to you. I know that some of you have had high school physics, but for many of you it was years ago, so we're going to assume that this is your first exposure to the material. This is a college course, however, so the pace is a little bit faster than you might be used to in high school. And if you're taking this course in the summer, it's an accelerated 10-week session instead of the usual 15-week session in the spring or fall, so the pace can be quite challenging for many students. Now, those taking this course in the summer will have a significantly larger workload per week than those taking it in the spring or fall. In any case, it's extremely important that you do your absolute best to keep to the detailed course schedule in terms of watching the lecture videos as well as submitting labs, problem sets, exams, and any other submissions that you need to do for each week. All right, so this is a fully online course, but for most of us, face-to-face learning is certainly the preferred way to go. I'm also aware that all of you have enormous life responsibilities, and recent events haven't made life easier for any of us. Now, despite the many issues with online learning, I hope this format presents you with at least one advantage over taking an on-campus in-person course. And I'm referring to the fact that this course, it's online, uses asynchronous learning, which might be beneficial to many of you. The term asynchronous refers to the fact that the video lectures are not in sync with real time. In other words, you can watch them anytime you want, 24/7. This is not a synchronous course in which we meet at a specific time, either in the classroom or on Zoom a couple times a week, though I might offer some optional special topic sessions during our office hours if requested. Now remember, you're absolutely required to watch the videos for this class because we're not in a physical classroom. These videos are your lecture videos. You can watch them anytime, so it's your responsibility to follow each weekly lesson plan and to watch those videos following the schedule that's posted. The detailed course schedule can be found on the contents page in D2L. I strongly recommend that you follow that schedule. The schedule includes links to all of your weekly lecture video responsibilities, your lab assignments, problem sets, exam assessments, practice exams, along with due dates for each of those. In addition, each week you'll receive a weekly lesson plan announcement with active links and reminders to all the assignments and assessments due for that particular week. Now, you'll hear me say this throughout the semester. Take advantage of the many resources available to you. If you need help, if you're struggling with some material, if it's science related, technical, or even administrative, please do not hesitate to contact me immediately by email. My email is mg, those are my first two initials, .taylor, Taylor, at dtcc.edu, or come to our online Zoom-based office hours, or come to the Virtual Tutoring Center, also Zoom-based. I'll refer to that as the VTC. There are multiple science tutors available, including myself, at the Virtual Tutoring Center 5 days a week. Tutoring Center opens at 9:30 a.m. on Mondays through Fridays and closes at 7:30 on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, but it closes a little earlier on Fridays at 4:30. In some semesters, the Tutoring Center might even be open for limited hours on Saturdays, so be sure to check the schedule to know for sure. I'm assigned different hours every semester, so I'll post my hours as soon as I know them. The Tutoring Center is generally closed on Sundays, school holidays, and some special times when Deltec might authorize a shutdown. As for office hours by Zoom, I'll do my best to keep a regular online office hours open even during holidays and school closings, assuming I still have internet and I'm physically able to run the office hours. Zoom links and schedules for both the online office hours and the online virtual tutoring center are posted in the opening welcome announcement, and you'll also see them when you open up the course in D2L. Zoom addresses for both office hours and virtual tutoring center also appear in my email signature at the bottom of my emails, as long as I send them from my computer. And I make that distinction because if I use my cell phone, it won't have that special signature on it. Now, both office hours and tutoring center hours are completely optional for you to show up. You can pop into either one at any time during the scheduled period. You don't need an appointment, though you're more than welcome to make one for either of these two, in case you want to make sure that I'm available to talk with you on a one-on-one basis. If none of those times work for you, you can meet with other tutors at the Virtual Tutoring Center. Or if you still want to meet with me, just send me an email with a couple possible times so that we can get together by Zoom on the off hours. Assume we'll use the office hours Zoom link if it's not during my scheduled period at the Virtual Tutoring Center. Remember, this is your chance to ask questions, make comments, or just scream your frustrations. I can't remember how many times students struggled with or even failed this course because they waited too long to ask for help. You can use this time with me or other tutors even to help you with problem sets or labs. This is allowed. Yes, this is allowed. If you're having trouble understanding the assignment, please come for help with a tutor or with me. It's your time. Take advantage of it. You've actually paid for this service when you pay for your tuition. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, online office hours and online virtual tutoring center hours are completely optional. But as of 2022, there's a new Deltec policy called the Never Attended policy. This policy requires each student to make contact, with an instructor during the first 2 weeks of the spring or fall semester or during the first week of the accelerated summer semester. What does contact mean? It means you must submit an assignment or a testing assessment by the second Friday of the spring or summer semester or by the first Friday of the summer semester, because it's accelerated, to show that you're participating in class. This submission can be graded or ungraded or a testing assessment, depending on the course. If class contact is not made with the instructor, meaning a submission of an assignment or an assessment by that due date, the first or second Friday of the semester, instructors are required to report that student as, quote, never attended. When the student is reported to the system as never attended, they'll receive a U grade for the course for unofficial withdrawal. When this happens, the student won't be dropped from the course, but they will have no access to the course content on D2L. They won't be able to see any content. They won't be able to submit any work at that point. You're essentially locked into the course without being able to see or do anything in the class. A U grade also results in, one, the student becoming financially responsible for the course even if they had financial aid. Two, a failing grade on the transcript, which will of course affect your GPA. And three, it possibly will prevent you from re-enrollment in the next semester. And obviously this is something you absolutely don't want to happen. Now, believe it or not, it's very simple to avoid the situation. As I mentioned, to satisfy the attendance requirement, you have to complete and submit an ungraded or graded assignment or assessment. For most classes, you have a choice of a few different things, problem sets, labs, quizzes in some classes. But the absolute easiest way to satisfy the never attendance policy for me is to submit your student questionnaire by the first Friday of whichever semester you're taking the course in, because that's when it's due. If you submitted a student questionnaire to me in the past from another class or repeating this class, you are still required to submit a new, fresh student questionnaire for this semester to satisfy the attendance policy. Student questionnaire is not graded, but if you submit it by the due day, the first Friday of the semester, you'll get 2 extra credit points on your first exam. So how do you submit the questionnaire or a problem set or a lab, etc.? Student questionnaire is located in several places in our course in D2L, including the Start Here folder, where you found this link to the video you're watching right now. But it's also linked in the Week 1 lesson plan announcement, and it's in the detailed course schedule that's in a separate folder on the content page of this course. Now, like any assignment or assessment in this class, you'll see the weekly lesson plan announcements posted on the opening page, one for each week of the semester. Click on Week 1 lesson plan announcement, click on the student questionnaire or whatever assignment you want to do, the upcoming problem set, lab assignment, etc. And you can also access any of these by clicking on the content button in the blue menu bar at the top of the course page and going to the detailed course schedule, which has active links to everything I just mentioned, all the weekly lectures, the videos, problem sets, labs, practice exams, etc., as well as the student questionnaire in the first week's listing. So once you click on the questionnaire, download the file, complete the questionnaire, resave the file, and follow the instructions given there to submit to assignments in D2L. Assignments is what D2L calls where you turn in work, all right? That's not a test. Tests it calls quizzes, everything else it calls assignments. I'll also give you a separate option for completing your student questionnaire by just making an online appearance to either our Zoom-based office hours or my hours at the campus's Zoom-based virtual tutoring center. As I mentioned already, the URLs and times for each of those are posted in D2L, and they appear in my email signatures as long as I send them from my computer. Now, if you want to do your student questionnaire verbally with me that way, just log on, say hi, tell me a little about yourself, and we can verbally complete your student questionnaire together, and I'll just type in your information. Or if you prefer, you can submit one of your graded assignments or assessments for that attendance requirement. And then you've satisfied the attendance, the never attended policy for the entire semester. Now, you can still get a U grade in the course by stopping work, in other words, ghosting the class. Remember, Deltec policy states that if you failed a course due to inactivity in the class, that is, you stop taking exams or you stop submitting labs or problem sets, again, instructors are required to assign that student a U grade at the end of the semester instead of a simple F for failing the course. It's always better to drop the course by the drop date than to stay enrolled in the course and stop doing work for the class. This is precisely why I post the drop date in the detailed course schedule and in the corresponding weekly announcement so that you know when it's coming up just in case you want to drop the course. All right. So I'd also like to talk about another very important Deltec department policy involving grading. Obviously, you need a passing grade that rounds up to a 70 or more to pass the course. What many students may not be aware of is that you must also have a passing grade in both your separate lab grade and what we call the separate lecture grade. The lecture grade is the weighted average of all your exams, problem sets, and if you had quizzes. Deltec policy requires that you have a passing grade of 70, in other words, 69.5 will round up to a 70, for all 3 composite grades, your overall course grade, your individual lecture grade, that's the exams, problem sets, etc., and your lab component grade, which is obviously just your labs. If you want to check, all 3 grades are posted in your grade book in D2L. Make sure you keep track of that. So this is department policy. I have no discretion to change it. As an example of the policy, if you've aced your lab grade, but you failed your lecture grade, in other words, your problem sets and exams, or vice versa, Deltec policy dictates that you will fail the entire course no matter how high your overall grade is. You could have a great passing grade, but if you failed the labs alone or the lecture grade alone, you still fail the course. All right. In addition, Deltec has another policy about labs. 3 missing labs in the spring or fall, or only 2 missing labs in the summer, will result in automatic failure for the semester. So it's important to keep up with your labs, which will also help you prepare for your exams. Okay, a little word about communication. My primary means of communication with students is my Deltec email, mg.taylor, Taylor, at dtcc.edu. I generally check my email 7 days a week, multiple times a day, so I should get back to you pretty quickly. As I mentioned, your weekly lesson plans are posted as announcements, but I may use your email to contact you directly. So make sure you check your Deltec email daily. It is important, very important, to check your email every day to avoid any miscommunication. If you have issues logging on to an exam that will close soon, or it shuts down accidentally while you're in the middle of it, please don't panic. Just email me immediately. I check email often, but even if I don't see your email until the next day, I'll know when you emailed me. I should then be able to modify the exam criteria, including when it's due, and we can solve your issue. System glitches can happen, so I certainly won't hold you responsible. We'll figure out a solution together. Please don't let these kinds of things stress you out needlessly. We'll fix whatever it is and get you back on track as soon as possible. All right. So to another topic here. Just a heads up about Chapter 00. This is not in the book. It's called Thinking About Physics, and this is a video created to help you orient to the material in this course. This video mentions some of the things that confuse students when taking a science course, including the use of words that scientists use a bit differently than when we speak everyday English. It also mentions the many letter abbreviations used by scientists that get reused for multiple scientific properties or units of properties. For example, the capital W might mean the property of weight in one context, or the property of work energy in another context, or even abbreviation for watts, which is a unit of a third property, the property of power, by physicists. I can't control what history has done with these abbreviations, but I'll do my best to let you know which property or unit of a property we're discussing each time so that you're not so confused. This pre-chapter lecture video, the 00 video, also walks you through the concept of proportionality and inverse proportionality, which will come up over and over again throughout the course. Proportionality refers to the fact that if one property of matter or energy changes, another will also change in response by the same factor. For instance, I might have set a set time that I'm traveling on a road. In other words, my time is constant. And if I triple the speed of my car, I'll triple the distance that I cover in the same period of time. That's proportionality. One thing goes up, the speed goes up threefold, the other thing goes up threefold, the distance goes up threefold. If that's assuming a third thing, in this case, the time is kept constant. So if you keep everything else constant, two things might be proportional to each other. Raise one by a certain factor, the other is raised by a certain factor. Drop one by a certain factor, the other is dropped by a certain factor. On the other hand, what if I have to drive the same distance no matter what? I'm going to work, it's always the same distance. The distance is constant. In this case, if I triple my speed, the time will be 1/3 of the original time. That's inverse proportionality. One thing goes up. If my speed goes up threefold, my time goes down threefold, as long as the third thing, distance, is kept constant. So that's an example of inverse proportionality. One thing goes up by a certain factor, the other thing goes down by a certain factor, or the other way around. I'll try to show you just how to look at an equation that we have, and there are lots of equations in physics, and you can immediately look and tell what is proportional to what, or what is inversely proportional to what, just by looking at the formula. It's not particularly exciting, but it's extremely important to your success with the many calculations through the semester. There aren't a lot of hard calculations, but there are calculations. All right. One final note before we close, and you'll notice in the videos and during our Zoom tutorial sessions, I frequently talk loudly. In fact, I'm doing it right now, and I'll try to bring my voice down. That's because I have moderate to severe hearing loss in the high frequency sound ranges. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you play drums for several decades. I end up talking loudly. I'll probably do it in a minute. My loud talking is partly due to my great passion for science, but unfortunately it's also due to my partial hearing loss. I don't generally wear my hearing aids, and this is because they don't work particularly well for my type of hearing loss. So I apologize in advance. I assure you I'm not yelling at you. I just tend to drift into louder speech because of my damaged hearing. Please let me know if my volume goes up and it starts to irritate you. Please feel free to say, Dr. Taylor, you're getting loud. And I'll say, oh, thanks for reminding me. I'll try to quiet down. Believe it or not, you'll be helping me by reminding me to bring my volume lower. I won't take it personally. I just don't want to give you the impression it's anything besides my partial hearing loss. All right, so to wrap things up, please remember that to follow each weekly lesson plan announcement or the detailed course schedule for this class, both of which have active links to everything you need to watch, to read, to download, complete, and submit for this class. And with that, I wish you the best of luck. And as always, please feel free to ask questions when you need assistance. Thank you very much.